So again, you may remember that last week, I don't know, let's see, I guess it was last Friday or something like that, Friday, August 31st, okay? I sent you this email, and it had the shapeup.zip file in it, and that shapeup.zip file in it has got a PDF and a beginning for Chapter 3 that we're going to be using. This is what we're going to be doing for labs for the next several weeks. So if you have not already grabbed that zip file and unzipped it to your desktop, please do that right now, all right? I've already got it, but I'm going to take it. I don't think I have the zip file on there. So I'm going to unzip it, just throw it onto my desktop here. All right. And when you do unzip it, what you're going to find in there is the following. If you look up on the screen here, there is a folder called Shape Up, which is kind of a starter folder under Shape Up Exercises. We're going to look at that in a minute. All right. And then there is a PDF, and that PDF has in it all of the assignments that we're going to be going over. So you now have all of the labs that we will do for chapters 3 through 14. Basically, we'll be doing a lab or so per week. All right, 1 to 2 labs per week. All right. Now, a couple things about this, just again, so you see it. What we're going to do today is kind of, for lack of better words, twofold. First thing is, we're going to create this. I know it's a little hard to see, but it's page 2 of that PDF. So this is what we're going to create. All right. And when you look at it, it's not that big a thing. We're going to have to add an image, which they give you, add a bunch of text, which they give you, and set up some hyperlinks, which I think you already know how to do. All right, but we're going to do that together. Then we're going to do a similar thing for Chapter 4. All right, and for Chapter 4, you may or may not be able to tell, but we change up the heading area. All right, we change the coloring here of those links. We change the coloring of the links down here. And finally, we come in here and we take the footer and we center it. All right, I think I had this up before. Let's see if I still do it, if it works. So in other words, if you take a look up on the screen here, I know it's, like I said, it's a little hard to see. Whoop, it's real hard to see. But on the left is what we're going to do for Chapter 3, and on the right is what we're going to do for Chapter 4. So that's what we are going to be doing. So what I'd like everyone then to do next, please, is to grab that folder that's called Shape Up Exercises. All right, it's the one with all of this stuff in it. So grab that folder, copy it to the clipboard, go to your AWD1000 homework folder. Find, if you don't have a Chapter 3 and a Chapter 4 folder, create those right now. All right. And then inside of Chapter 3, you'll want a homework folder and a labs folder. Inside of Chapter 4, you'll want a homework folder and a labs folder. The idea is today we'll basically, for lack of better words, fill up the Chapter 3 labs folder and the Chapter 4 labs folder. Questions on what I'm asking you to do? All right. Then in that Chapter 3 labs folder, all right, what I want you to do is basically just drop in that folder that I just asked you to put in there, Shape Up Exercises. All right. You can leave that name on it. You can change it to Chapter 3, whatever you want to do. All right. I'll just do that. I'll call mine here Chapter03. Now, we're not going to put anything in yet to the Chapter 4. When we get done with the Chapter 3 stuff, we're going to take the whole folder and copy it over to Chapter 4, so we've got to start. All right? So if I look at this chapter 3 right now and I look at what's in it and I open that, not much. All right? Kind of to be expected. There's not much stuff in there. So what I'm going to do now, for lack of better words, is bounce back and forth between what we're going to have here. So I want you to open up this index file in your editor of choice, and that's what's in there. So again, you can open it up in Atom, you can open it up in Notepad++, you can open it up in brackets, whatever your current editor of choice is. You'll see there's not much in here. All right, right now, we've got our doc type statement. We've got our beginning HTML tag with the language attribute and its value of English. We've got our ending HTML tag. We've got our beginning and ending header tags. We've got a meta tag that says we're using Unicode. And we've got a title with nothing in it. All right? That's one of the reasons it doesn't look like much right now. So this is going to be this thing called Shape Up. So what I'd like you to do, just because it'll make it easier for me to always know I've got the right one up. So for your title, we're going to just put something like CH3 Shape Up. All right, if you don't like exactly the way I put it, if you want the shape up first, if you want to put the whole word chapter in there, I don't really care. It's not that big a thing one way or the other. All right. I'm not going to do this, but you know if I save this and run it, the only difference is going to be that up in here, where previously it just said index.html, it's now going to say ch.3 shape up. That's the only difference. All right. So let's first start by taking a look at everything we're supposed to be doing for Chapter 3. All right. I'm not that concerned with the picture. Let's just take a look at the instructions. As always, I would recommend that the first thing you do, again, we'll do chapters 3 and 4 today, but the first thing I'd recommend that you do when you go with chapter 5 and beyond is to read through the entire instructions. There shouldn't be any surprises any place. All right? So create the home page from the index.html file that's in the root folder. Guess what? You already have that. All right? So add the HTML5 semantics to structure the page so that it includes a header, main content, and a footer. Now, I think I mentioned this to you before, but I really and truly don't remember. So if I say here HTML5 tags, I'm just going to bring that up, and it says HTML5 semantic elements under W3 schools. And if we look up here, sooner or later, I guess I'd have to go search for it. I don't want to. So I think if I use the second one, HTML5 New Elements. All right. These are the things that are new to HTML5. No matter how small I make this, they're not all going to show. All right. But what we're most concerned with in here are articles, asides, sooner or later, that fig caption and figure that's in there, footer, header, main, nav, and section. So that's about 9 tags out of those that we're most interested in. If you want a more detailed description of any of these things, then I would go out to the W3 Schools HTML New Elements page and take a look. All right, we will talk about them. We've looked at them a little bit. We'll talk about them more also in more depth, some of them at least, as we go on throughout the text. All right? So we want to add those new elements so that it includes a header, all right, main content, and a footer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and in my body, I'm going to put in a header, a main section, and a footer. Now, I'm not saying that we won't have other tags that we put in, but again, at least that gets us started. All right? So, hopefully I didn't do that too fast. Header, main, and footer. And hopefully you realize this. Typically, these are going to be in this order. Header typically is at the top. Footer typically is at the bottom. And main is basically your content area that exists between the header and the footer. Any questions regarding that? All right. Hopefully that's just something out. Well, Jeff, it makes sense. Good. All right. So we're going to want to come in here and do all this stuff. This is everything that's left. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 different things. The first thing we have to do is add an image. It says, and 2 levels of headings to the header. That's a little bit confusing. All right? You may or may not agree with that, but I think at least that's a little bit confusing. 2 levels of headings. What do they mean? Well, you've got to kind of eyeball what they have in the PDF, and I'm going to use an H2 and an H3. That's 2 different levels of headings. All right? So we're going to do that. So we'll add the image, and then we'll find the text for the header and the other areas of the page. So that already exists. You don't have to type a lick of this stuff in. Nothing. All right? All right. Then it says add 3 levels of headings to the main area that we're going to have in here. And I'm going to have those be an H1, an H2, and an H3. So we're going to do that next. All right. Again, this links to other pages that they're all there already. Okay. You have, now some of these pages, when we get done today and you run this, you're going to click on a link to a page and it's going to say under construction, because we're going to build that in a later chapter. All right. So don't worry about it. Code the quote in the second paragraph of text as a block quote. We've looked at block quotes before. You may or may not remember them, but what that'll do is it will take it and move it over to the right a little bit. We'll work on that in just a minute. Code the additional resources as an unordered list. What does that mean? There's the additional resources. Right there. It's an unordered list. Add the required text to the footer using a character entity for the copyright symbol. You may or may not remember that. That's ampersand copy with a semicolon. That'll put the copy symbol in there. Add the link element for the favicon to the head element of the HTML document. You'll find the favicon in the images folder. The reason I took a second to go over this is hopefully you noticed one thing. In Chapter 3, in this chapter, we do nothing with CSS. In fact, in the next chapter, we do almost totally only CSS. All right? But for this chapter, there will be no CSS that we worry about. All right? So, I mean, I can come in here, I can highlight all this stuff, and I could put comments in, etc., but I don't want to waste our time doing that. I've got 3 things I want to accomplish today. The first is to get done with this Chapter 3 stuff. Then to get done with the Chapter 4 stuff. And then give you an extensive test review for Chapters 3 and 4. Ideally, we'll have plenty of time to do all 3 of those. We may not have a lot of lab time today, but again, if we get all this done, then by the time you've taken those 2 written tests tomorrow, you'll have, between 2 and 3 hours, closer to 3, to just work on the actual homework parts for Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. All right? When you come in here on Friday, you will, at 8:05, I will pass out your second hands-on test. You will be doing it alone. It's open book, it's open note, but closed neighbor, as they say. All right? I am supposed to walk around every once in a while to see what you're doing, how you're doing. So I will be doing that. All right? Hopefully everything will go according to schedule. I'm going to change it up a little bit. What I'm going to do on Monday is I'm going to show you how I did it. All right, how I did your next test. Okay, and I'm going to ask that while I'm doing that, I'll give you a hard copy of what I'm working on. But what I'm going to ask is that while I'm doing it, you don't do it. You just watch. All right? And I'm not saying that the way I do it will be, oh my God, is that great? No. It'll be whatever time I have, a half an hour or so, to do it. All right? And get it started, basically. All right, so that said, we've got this done, we've got this done. All right? So the next thing to do according to this is to add the image and the 2 levels of headers. It says you will find the image named shapeuplogo.pmg in the images folder. All right, you'll find the text for the header as well as other areas of the page in the home.txt. Let's start with this shapeuplogo.png file. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and again, I may not be doing it in exactly the order they're showing it here. We're going to do the Favicon last. All right, bless you. So let's just come in here, and in our header area, first thing I want to do is I want to put in an image. Source equals, well, remember, it's in our images folder, and that's what the name is. All right, and I should have an alt tag. All right, so something like that should suffice. Now, let me just double check and let me run this. I'll come right back to it. There's my logo. So it worked. In other words, I know I put the right path in. Okay? Does everybody realize I'm going to come in here, I'm going to purposely make a mistake in here. So I'm going to remove that G from ping, or I guess the N. All right, and I'm going to save it. And when I open this, what do I get? Shape up logo, right? That's my alt text. That's also the text that someone who is using a browser for someone who is physically challenged, typically a blind person, all right, they will be able to at least have that read to them that it is the Shape Up logo. All right, so let me fix that. All right, so there's that. Any questions on that? Hopefully by now, you know, if I ask you for your test on Friday to go out to the internet and find pictures of, I don't know, kittens, it won't be, I don't like kittens. But if I ask you to do something like that, you'll be able to do it. Eventually what we're going to do as we make our websites more and more responsive is we will set up those images so that no matter how wide or how narrow our browser is, the image will look nice in it, regardless. All right? Okay, so it says we're supposed to have 2 levels of headings. So underneath this, I'm going to add 2 levels of headings. I'm going to add an H2, and I'm going to add an H3. Don't worry about what we're putting in there. We'll do that in just a second. All right? But that's what I'm going to do next. Once I have done all of this, once I go and fill in that actual text that goes in there, all right, once that text is filled in, what that means is, where are we? I will have done everything in this step. I will have added the image, and I will have added the text for the 2 headers. All right? In other words, I'll have just these 5 things here to go. All right? So what am I going to do? Well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take a look in that folder, and it says that, where was that again? It said it's under text, and it's called home.txt. All right, so there's the text folder. I'm going to find the file that's called home.txt, and I'm just going to open it up in Notepad. Make sense? All right. And I've got here get ready to shape up. And how many times have you started a new routine or diet, etc.? Well, I'm looking at that. Well, I don't want that. All right. And I was hoping there'd be other stuff in here. This get ready to shape up. I don't like either one of those. In fact, all of this text, everything that's in there, that's going to end up going into, sooner or later, that's going to end up going into the actual content area in the page. So I don't like any of that stuff. So I'm going to head back to here. And for my H2 tag, the name of this place is Shape Up. That's the name. It's Shape Up Fitness. It's one word, but I'm just going to put it in now as 2 words. So I'm going to put in that, and then I'll put in something like find the best fit for you. All right? So I'm going to put that in. I'll come right back to it, but notice what it does. I now have that. You should all understand we're using the browser defaults, so we've got whatever this browser's default size is for an H2 tag and an H3 tag. All right? So we've got that. So that is that first step on the second page. So 3 steps down, 5 steps to go. All that makes sense? All right. So I'm going to jump back into here and see what I'm supposed to do next. Add 3 levels of headings and the required text for the main content. The level 3 headings should contain links to other pages. And this stuff, it says the links to the other pages can be found in the strength folder, the cardio folder, the stress folder, and the diet folder. All right? So what does that mean? Well, now I'm going to jump back into this actual text that I showed you. Right there. So that get ready to shape up. How many times have you found this type of an idea? Okay? So this text right here that says get ready to shape up, that's going to be in my H1 tag. Okay? This is where I think that the instructions in this book fall short, because they don't exactly tell you that. So how did I know that? I looked at the picture. That's what I used for my basis. Does that make sense? All right. So that get ready to shape up that you see right here, I'm just going to copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to throw that inside of my main area, and that'll be inside of an H1 tag. All right. So that's what's in there next. And again, taking a quick look, jumping back and looking at this, what have we done so far? We did this. We put the picture in, shape up, find the best fit for you, and get ready to shape up. Okay? So the next thing, according to that, we have to do is to put in this paragraph. How many times have you started a new whatever? All that stuff. All right? So I'm going to put in my paragraph tags. And in just a second, I'm going to throw that paragraph in there. What paragraph? The one that's right here. How many times have you started a new workout routine or diet, etc.? All that stuff. So everything that's in that line 2, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to paste it inside of here. Now, just so you can see everything that I'm doing, again, this will be several lines long, but that's fine. All right? You don't have to do that. I could care less whether you put that in as one big long line or you separate it like I have. And I mentioned to you the other day that if you do indeed separate it like this, then every one of those those carriage returns, when I hit enter, since they do not have a BR tag in there, they're treated as though it's just me hitting the space bar once. That should make sense to all of you. All right. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to do a run, and I'm going to launch it, and that's what I have. Now, mine may look bigger than yours because I've got a bigger screen. Now, I'm looking at this, and it's like, wow, that's pretty big. Just want to double check and make sure. H1, look what I did. See this? I didn't put in an ending H1 tag. That should be there. I did not do that on purpose. It's good when I make mistakes just screwing up naturally. All right? So that should be a beginning H1 tag. That should be an ending H1 tag. Sorry about that. Now when I bring it up, so you see the difference, all right, notice what happens when I refresh. Got a heck of a lot smaller. All right. Now, in order for it to look like the picture here, I would have to make the browser smaller, my browser window. Okay. I'm not concerned with that, to be honest with you. So we started with this, we went to here, we went to here, and now we're to here. All right. And if you're like, yeah, can you just hurry it up? I just want to make sure everybody's with me. That's all. All right. So I'm going to jump back into here and see what I'm supposed to do next. So it says add 3 levels of headings. Yeah. And in other words, I mean, it's up to me now. What I want to do next, according to this, is I want to put in that second paragraph as a block quote. Okay? I want to put in the second paragraph that I have here as a block quote. Well, what does that mean? Well, to me, it means my next paragraph, I'm going to put in block quote tags. All right? Now, if you're using Atom, and if you added every one of the packages that we talked about in class, usually when you create your beginning tag, it'll create your ending tag for you. There probably is something in, there are a lot of plugins that you can put in also for Notepad. They might have the same thing. I don't know. I've never looked. All right. So I want to come in here and put in my block quote. They say it's the second paragraph. Well, if I come back here, I think that's the second paragraph that says, as this fitness expert said. So I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to put it in. Now, good news, bad news, I'm going to put it in, but it's going to be incorrect. Okay? So where it's got this fitness is about so much more than exercise, etc. All right. I'm going to hit enter. There we go. Now this right here, this, that's not part of the block quote. That's the person who said the quote. So I want to grab this and pull it out. Put another paragraph in here. Oops. And that's actually what that should look like. So again, once I've done that and I do a run, that's what it should now look like. All right? So that's the next step, whatever it is you want to call it. And I'd like to finish this chapter. When we get done with this chapter, I'll give you a break. All right? But we should have 2 or 3 steps left in here. Any questions on anything we've done thus far? All right, so if I go back and just take a quick look, again, we did numbers 1 and 2 on this page. We've done number 3. We're in the middle of number 4, really, and we did step 5 here. All right? So I'm going to go back and look at what I have here. And now I've got this what we offer thing. Build strong muscles, get your heart rate up, all this stuff. Okay? This stuff that starts with what we offer and it ends right before additional resources, all that stuff. Okay? All of that stuff, if you would please, take every bit of that. So from what we offer all the way through are you really what you eat, etc. All that, copy that to the clipboard. All right? All of that stuff. So grab it, copy it to the clipboard, then get right down below your block quote and paste it in. Now, it looks really ugly right now. You know as well as I do that if right now I save this and I run it, that's not the way that this should look. But we're going to fix that in just a minute. All right? All right. So, hopefully everybody's been able to keep up with me. This what we offer, I'm going to make that an H2 tag. Okay? So that's the first thing. Each one of these, build strong muscles, get your heart rate up, relax, eat what's right for you. So these 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you see in here, all right, each one of those is going to become an H3 tag. Everybody hear me? Each one of those is going to become an H3 tag. So you can do this in whatever order you want, but I'm going to make that an H3. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to make this an H3. Then I'm going to make the relax one an H3. And finally, I'm going to make the eat what's right for you an H3. We're still not done, but we're getting there. All right? As we go and do this, it's going to look more and more complete. Not perfect, but it'll look more and more complete. Now, under each one of these, and you may have guessed this already, tired of being tired, want to lose weight, stressed out, are you really what you eat? Those are all going to be paragraphs. All right? So, I'm going to come down here. Oops. Put in a P tag. And I'm going to do this with all of them right now. All right? And do the same thing with the next one. And the next one. And then finally with the last one. All right, it should be looking now more like the way it's supposed to look. All right, again, it sure as heck isn't perfect. We've got changes we still have to make. But it's starting to get there, to round into shape a little bit. And that's no pun intended. All right. So I came in here, copied all that stuff, made what we offer an H2 tag, made build strong muscles, made get your heart rate up, made relax, and made eat what's right for you H3 tags, and took everything underneath each one of those, made them a P tag, a P tag, a P tag, and a p tag. All right. Now, we're still not finished. We're not even done with this section. But again, it's getting there. Does anyone have any questions on anything I've done up to this point? All right, then I'm going to jump back here, and notice it says here, these headings, these H3s, that was the eat, write, relax, and all that stuff, should contain links to pages named index.html in the strength, cardio, stress, and diet folders. What does that mean? That means that since I have not what I'd call the greatest memory, I'm going to grab this. You don't have to do this. But I'm going to just grab this and throw this in here as an HTML comment, just so I know that I want to put that in. You don't have to do this. In fact, I'm going to remove it in just a minute. All right? So this one right here, we want to put a hyperlink in here. All right? This build strong muscles should be in a hyperlink. So you know how to do that. A href equals, and that's inside of the strength folder, and it's index.html. Whoops. All right. And I'm going to put this on a couple lines just so everybody can see it. All right. Now, did I do it right? I sure hope so. I mean, especially if you're copying it, so let's double check. Run it. Notice that one is now hyperlinked. When I click on it, it brings up another page. Strength training under construction. Good. That's what I wanted. So I want to go basically and grab this and put it in all the other ones. But this one won't be under strength. This one will be under cardio. And I'll give you a second, so if you were following along with me and you're not quite up to where I was, it'll give you a chance to catch up. And the last two are what? Stress and diet. One thing that I want you to do in here is I want you to have the opportunity to develop your own style, which means if you look in here, you'll notice how, for example, I take the P stuff. Maybe you don't like that. All right. And I always put a blank space in between each one of these. You say, no, you didn't put them here. Well, this stuff all goes together. This H3 in the paragraph goes together. This H3 in the paragraph goes together, etc. If you don't like my style, come up with your own. Come up with a style, but be consistent with it. I've said this to you earlier in the semester, and that is even a bad style, as long as it's consistent, is better than no style at all. All right? So I've done those two, and the last two are stress and diet. So I'm going to come over to here. I'm going to again paste that in, and this will be stress. And this last one will be diet. And again, let's just quick run it and make sure it looks the way it should be. There. And does it hyperlink? Yes, it does. There. Does it hyperlink? Yes, it does. There, does it hyperlink? No, so something's screwed up. Oh, because I spelled stress with an H. Okay, and there, that looks okay. So looking back, where I've got stress here, remove that. And let's run it one more time. So again, strength works, cardio works, stress works, and healthy diet all work. All right? So I've now got those things in here, and I've got those things based off of what you see right here. And to my knowledge now, looking back here, I think we've done everything in here and everything in here. So under these 6 steps, we have now done step 1, we have done step 2, we have done step 3. So what we have left are these last 3 steps. All right, and again, it's 8:47. Ideally, we'll finish those around 9. Okay, take a 15-minute break, then come back and do the stuff for chapter 4. All right, so what's left? Code the additional resources as an unordered list with links to external pages. Not hard, we'll do that. Then we'll add the required text for the footer. We'll do that. Then we'll add the link element for the favicon. We'll do that. So let's do those last 3 things. Now, I want to show you something. I went and did this on my own. I'm not bragging because I did that, but I did it on my own. Then I went back and I looked at the author's key, and they were almost identical. But for whatever reason, and I'm not sure why, it may be explained in a later lesson, what the author did was they took everything that was inside of main, everything, let's see, that starts with main here and goes all the way down to the end of what we've done so far. So all of this, and the author put that inside of what's called a section tag. All right? So that's what I'm going to do. All right? Now I'm going to show you, what I'm about to show you, I'm not sure if it works exactly the same way in Atom or not, but this is a very easy fix in here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in a section tag. All right, then I'm going to grab everything that I have here, just highlight all of it. When you highlight it, don't hit delete because that'll remove it, but I'm going to hit tab. Now I moved it over 1 tab space. I don't know if that works exactly the same in Atom or not. I really don't. I don't remember. So I've got all my beginning section stuff in here, and now at the end here, I'm going to put in my ending section tag right there, right before the end of main. Again, there was no explanation that you needed to do that in your instructions. There was no explanation as to why the author did that in his solution, but that's the way he did it. All right? What's that? It's inside of main, correct. And we are, like I said, we are almost done. So we're going to finish it in a minute. Now, so we've got this section that began in main, all right, and it ends right before the end of main, okay? So the next thing to do that we've been told to do in our instructions is code the additional resources as an unordered list. So we're going to do this in just a minute, all right? We're going to take that and we're going to put that into what's called an aside. Don't worry about exactly what that means right now because we will be going over it. So if you look back here, before I put that stuff in, I'm going to put this inside of aside tags. All right, so right after my section, before the end of main, I put in a blank line, then beginning and ending aside tags. All right? If I go back here and I look, so far we put in everything that you see here, everything, come on, move over. Everything that's inside of gray, we've added so far. All right? But what's left is this additional resources and this stuff, physical activity, etc. All of that stuff. All right? So I'm going to grab that. You can see I've got it in gray. So I'm going to grab that, copy it to the clipboard, okay? And I'm going to paste that right into my aside section. I'm going to have to make some changes to it, but now it's in there. All right? So that's in my aside. And first thing I'm going to do is that additional resources will be inside of an H2 tag. Okay? So that's the first thing. Again, you're not really told to do that. You've got to kind of eyeball the picture here and figure that out. All right? Now, if I go back again, and I'll come right back to this in just a second, but if I go back to the instructions, notice what the author says. Code the additional resources as an unordered list with links to external pages that you locate. So the reason I'm telling you that is I've already gone out there and done that. If you don't like the pages that I use for each one of these, then go back and make your own. That's okay. But yeah, everybody can be funny, but you'll notice the links on here. What do the links say? The links say physical activity and health, stretching exercises, strength training, cardiovascular training, and yoga workout. Everybody see those? So if you want to put your own in, I'm going to give you mine, but if you don't like them, put your own in. And although it might be funny if you did something goofy in here and you had to go to, Fat People Anonymous. That might be funny. I'm not going to find it funny when I'm grading it. I expect that when you're told to follow instructions, that you're able to do that. All right? So, like I said, I'll give you my stuff. Before I do, though, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tab this about 4 times. And then I'm going to come in here, and they ask you to put this in as an unordered list. All right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do is put in my unordered list tags. And each one of these will become a list item. I'm not going to put in my links yet. I'll put those in just a minute. That did. All right. Great. All right. So I'm going to add those here, here, and here. And then I'm going to add my ending ones here, 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 and here. All right. Now, if I save this, if I do save this and run it, I've got that, but they don't have hyperlinks yet. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, my hyperlinks, you've got to do a bit of typing. Sorry about that. All right. And you're like, well, can't you just give them to us? Like I said, if you don't like what I'm doing, add your own in there. All right? Instead. So I'm going to hit enter, move that over. I'm going to do this for every line. Why? Because I'm about to put in my hyperlinks for each one of these. All right? Just to make it easier for myself, I'm going to put in my ending A tag on each one of these. So I'm kind of doing this, for lack of better words, ass backwards. Oops. This isn't the way I would typically do this, but I'm going to put in my A tags right now. First, let's make sure that I typed it in correctly, and then I'll come right back to it. So let's see, does that first one work? Physical activity and health. Yes. Okay, it brings me to there. So that worked. Now, I did not repeat, I did not put these in, I probably should have had a target equal new, but I didn't. So there's the first one. I'll give you a second if you want to type that in. The good news is after we type in these 4, there's literally one more line we have to type in and we're done. The next 2 are longer, so you've got more to type. Sorry about that. Again, if you don't like that, just Google physical activity and health, find a small URL and paste it in. Google stretching exercises, find a small URL and paste it in. You can do that too. Or if you want, for right now, you can just put a pound sign in there and fill it in later. Whatever you want to do. All right, hopefully everybody has that. I'll leave it up there. It's not going anywhere. All right, but I'm going to come in here and start doing the next one. The next 2 URLs, please listen to this. You don't have to look, but please listen to this. The next 2 URLs are almost identical. So I'd recommend you put in the second one and then copy it to the third one and make changes. If you don't want to do that, if you really like typing, then just type it in twice. All right? Like I said, unfortunately, there's quite a bit of typing here. I'll stop right there so you get a chance to type all that in, because that's about a third of it, or a quarter of it. And that's not heat.org, it's heart.org. Heart.org, healthy living, physical activity. I think that's all correct. Okay, hopefully everybody has at least most of it. I'm just going to shift this over. I'll keep that much there, and I'm just going to keep typing. So after physical activity, so everything up to this point, all the stuff I've typed in for this URL up to right here is exactly the same for the next one. All right? Now is where it starts changing. I'm going to continue on then. And of course, here's a good example of where your instructor almost said effed up, but I Can't talk like that. Screwed up. This is actually the one for the next one, so remove that strength and resistance training. Sorry. Make it flexibility exercise stretching. I apologize. Flexibility exercise stretching. Almost it. Almost all of it. You know what I'm going to... This is a pain in the ass, correct? All right? So let's do this. I think this will make it easier on you. If I'm wrong, tell me. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type in, I'm going to go into Google and I'm going to type in here, we've got the first one. This second one is stretching exercises. All right? And there in Google, grab one of these. You know what I mean? Just grab one. I don't care which one you use. You can grab the first one. You can grab any one you want. But grab one of those, and I'll grab this, the 21 best stretching exercises. So I'm going to grab that, open it up, and, boy, that's a lot shorter. And I'm just going to grab the URL, and I'm going to copy it in. This is taking too long. I don't want to waste your time any more than I already have. So I'm just going to put it in here. You can, again, put in any one that you want to. All right? That's the one, and that's a lot shorter. Then I'm going to do the same thing for strength training. All right, so again, go into Google. This time, instead of stretching, put in strength training. Again, I'll just grab the first one. Then do the same thing with cardiovascular training. And then finally, yoga workout. And it might be in your best interest to look for small URLs. And finally, yoga. It's way too long. Oh, that's screwed up, but we'll fix it. And the last thing that you have to put in, if you look on the screen, it's one line, is just ampersand copy. Now they put 2019, but since it isn't, I'm just putting 2018. If you want 2019 in there, put 2019. That's it. Just that line that's right there. And that should put the footer at the bottom. Let's just double check. And there it is. Again, if you decide you want 2019, then go for it. Put that in. So there is all of mine. You can see it all on the screen. Okay? It's 9:07. All right, I'll give you time, about 3 or 4 minutes to finish typing. And let's come back then at 9:25, and we'll start on the one for Chapter 4. Oh, we didn't do the Favicon. We'll do that when we come back. All right, sorry. So the line for the favicon goes up in your head section, and it is right here. It is now in gray. If you put that in and run it, if you look up on the screen here, you should see that heart thing. That's the favicon right there. Oops. Any questions on anything in the Chapter 3 exercise? So again, mine now looks like this. Yours should look at least similar, if not virtually identical. All right. The good news is there's literally about 2 lines that we have to type into our index.html file for the next chapter. But we have to make a lot of stuff for the CSS. All right, let me stop this tape here.